Hi everyone, hope you're all having a great day today. In today's video, I'm going to talk about BlackBerry stock because we do have recent developments where insider bought shares into the company. So I'm going to cover who it was, how much shares they bought, and if it was purchased or awarded, and so on and so forth. I go through the SEC filings as well. I'm going to go through analyst price target adjustments. I'm going to go over how much the stock is shorted because it has increased it overall from the last video I posted in terms of how much it was shorted before. And I'm also going to cover how I'm buying shares currently in the current share price the way it is right now, what I'm expecting from the company in terms of OEMs and so on and so forth, because it's good stuff overall in my opinion. But like always, disclaimer, I'm not a financial expert or professional, so please do your own due diligence and research before buying and selling. And be mindful, I do own shares in BlackBerry stock, so keep that in mind while you're watching this video. One other thing too, BlackBerry is going to have a virtual conference at Baird's 2024 Vehicle Technology and Mobility. I'm going to be live streaming that on YouTube and hopefully X at the same time. If not, I'll post that on X shortly after on Thursday, February 29th, 2024 at 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'm going to be live streaming as well for the March Q4 earnings for fiscal year 2024 in roughly about end of March. It's usually it is. Live streaming that as well, so be on the lookout for that with the video right after, a couple days after, with my thoughts and so on and so forth. Now first, before I get into it too as well, there was a press release updated where BlackBerry basically paid off their, not basically, but it has done the repayment for $150 million extendable debentures. They announced it today, which was due February 15, 2024, and they've repaid that amount. So again, they raised $200 million of convertible senior notes, and after fees that BlackBerry paid, they had about $194 million of cash. $150 million of that cash went to pay off this $150 million of debt, and so on and so forth. So good stuff for that. Now, in terms of who bought shares in the company, it was an insider named Philip Brace. BlackBerry released a press release for Philip Brace. He joined and announced today that it has appointed IoT technology veteran Philip Brace to its board of directors effective February 8, 2024. Mr. Brace will serve as a member of Compensation, Nomination, and Governance Committee of the board. He bought 35,000 shares. I'm going to cover that. I just want to go through his history because it's pretty impressive in my opinion. We are delighted to welcome Phil to the BlackBerry board. I'm also going to show proof of that too, by the way, said Dick, board chair. Phil brings deep business acumen and a wealth of relevant experience in many areas of technology, including IoT, one of BlackBerry's principal target markets. BlackBerry is currently undergoing significant change as we both separate and right-size our business into two standalone divisions. Having Phil join our board adds extensive knowledge to assist in guiding us through the process and beyond, said Giamatteo, BlackBerry CEO. Phil's expertise in some of BlackBerry's key markets will greatly benefit the entire organization. Mr. Brace said himself, "I'm excited to join the BlackBerry board of directors at such a pivotal time in the company's history. BlackBerry's technology and market position provides significant opportunities to help enhance value for our customers and shareholders." So clearly from the statement, I think he sees value in the company. That's why he bought shares. Otherwise, why would you buy shares into the company? Again, he's an insider as of February 8th, 2024. Mr. Brace has an extensive background in the IoT, semiconductor, server, and storage industry. His roles over the past 3 decades include a wide array of functions, including software, hardware, engineering, marketing, and sales. Most recently, from July 2021 to January 23, Mr. Brace served as president and CEO of leading Canadian wireless communication designer Sierra Wireless Incorporated, where he led the company through operational improvements that increased profits by more than 100% and grew revenue by more than 40%, culminating a successful acquisition by Semitech Corporation. Prior to this, Mr. Brace served as Executive Vice President at Veritas Technology, President of Seagate Technologies Cloud Systems and Electronic Solutions, Executive Vice President at LSI Corporation, and General Manager at Intel Corporation. Mr. Brace holds a Bachelor of Applied Science degree in Computer Science from the University of Waterloo, and a Master's degree in Electrical Engineering from the California State University, Sacramento. He also participated in the Stanford University Directors Consortium. Mr. Brace is also a member of the board of directors at Lantrux Incorporated and Insigo Corp. So pretty good background, pretty good stuff. If you pull up the NASDAQ transactions, all stuff, I already pulled up the PDF file. You see that Philip Brace on February 14th, 2024 bought 35,000 shares. This is purchased, not awarded, at a price target of $2.79 or a price of $2.79 per share. Again, that's 35,000 shares bought. I pulled up the SEC filings. There was an article stated, I'm just going to quickly go over it, showing that he bought 35,000 or stating that he bought 35,000 shares on February 14th, 2024. But at the same time, the reason I'm mentioning this in case some people said he had past transactions, it says he bought a large lump sum of almost 45,000 shares, roughly about a $1.6 million valuation, price, whatever, and sold that in 2017 of October 27, which is not true. At least that massive amount would show in the SEC filings. And I pull up Brace Phillips' SEC filings. I don't see anything that of that magnitude at all, which it would show easily because it showed the February 14th one, and it's a small magnitude, 35,000 shares, about 100,000, nowhere near that 1.6 million valuation. And so here's the February 14th BlackBerry. You could see right here, and then we have one on February 8th BlackBerry as well. This is from 2024 present all the way to 2008 transactions, and then the next page shows 2008 and later, but the most important just recent ones. And for the 2008 one, there's no transaction done on that day. It's just an SEC filing to show that he became a director of BlackBerry right about here. So Philip Brace, director, no transaction showed right here. And then if we pull up the 2014, that was the transaction day right about here again. Philip Brace, BlackBerry 2014, about 35,000 shares purchased at $2.79. And if you want to look at past company transactions for Philip Brace, there's nowhere that shows BlackBerry besides those two. I already looked at all of it. I looked at the previous page, the next page as well. And they said from 2017 in that article, and all these 2017 postings right here, SEC filings for Philip Brace, is all just Seagate in terms of transactions. So Seagate transactions from the company, from Philip Brace, purchasing and all that stuff. I don't know if they're specifically purchasing. I didn't click on them fully, but it's nowhere for BlackBerry. Now, in terms of shorted positions, I'm going to cover that before the analyst target adjustments. If you go to BlackBerry, ticker symbol BB, and look at how much it shorted. Last time it was probably close to 8%. I can't remember exactly, but it was in the 7% range. And now it's bumped up to 8.47%, so almost 8.5%. This is as of January 31st, though, so it's not fully up to date. And these are self-reported numbers again. So usually people are shorting it. It's usually hedge funds, not necessarily always the case, but these are self-reported numbers. And I'm going to explain the significance of it as well, but I want to cover the Canadian side as well. So if you go to bb.to and go to statistics again, go to how much it's shorted, it's at almost 3%, 2.95%. So combine that, it's almost at 12% shorted, and that is decently shorted for sure. It's not extremely shorted. To be considered extremely shorted, it has to be 20% or higher. The significance of that is if it's extremely shorted, that means that when the stock jumps up quite significantly, the banks / institutions that had those shares and lent them out, if they see not enough, like sufficient funds, whoever's holding those positions in terms of shorted positions, they'll tell them to return their shares back. And what could cause, if it's extremely shorted, is a domino effect, because them buying the shares back, whatever price it might be, to return the shares because they don't have sufficient funds to cover the position any longer since it's climbing, then them buying the shares will also increase the share price, which others, because it's not just one person shorting it, it's usually a multitude of people shorting it, especially when it's above extremely shorted territory, then they might trigger levels as well for the other institutions that are holding it, or like hedge funds holding it, where other institutions who lent out those shares be like, return our shares back at these current levels because you don't have as sufficient funds to cover the position currently. So there's that. So we should see the short positions increasing, which is quite interesting because then we also have articles lowering their price target from analysts. So we have our first one is RBC. They lowered their price target from $4 a share to $3 a share. So that's RBC, essentially saying that the short term is not really showing real growth, but at the same time they kind of hit like the long term stuff. I don't really necessarily agree with them with the long term statements, but to everybody's own viewpoint. Again, I'm not a professional, they are, so it's up to them. And then we have Baird, maintain a neutral, but at the same time they cut their share price from $4.50 to $3.50. Then we have TD Securities. They cut their share price from $4 to $3, but then I believe they maintained the sector performance by TD Securities. So from $4 to $3, and then CIBC, they went from $4.25 to $3.50, but they maintained a neutral as well for BlackBerry. Then we have Canaccord Genuity. They maintained the hold, but they also cut from $4.25 to $3.25. In terms of what I'm doing in terms of purchasing, I'm actually going to share the OEM side first, and then I'll explain my thought process for purchasing. Currently, the company is sitting at the U.S. side, 1.6 to 1.7 billion dollar evaluation, market cap evaluation. I think that is quite low, given that their revenue is roughly about 600 to 700 million dollars per year. And from statements I've seen from other OEMs, so for example, Ford, I had a video out there, I think it was a couple days ago, probably 3-4 days ago, I'm not sure, where I showed an interview with CFO of Ford stating that their second phase of vehicles is more focused on, it's going to bring in a way more revenue. That was the first thing. And it's focused on connectivity and application services part of the vehicle portion, which they were expecting major revenue coming in from that. And I've seen other OEMs show revenue for essentially the exact same thing, and they're showing revenue in the billions. And what I mean by billions, I'm multiple billions, not just like $1 or $2 billion. It's like 10, $20 billion, so on and so forth. And for Ford, the significance of that, I'll have the video pop up right here so you can see it. But the significance of that he stated was that it's going to be in the near future. And the other OEMs are showing like near 2030 and all that stuff. So it's gonna take some time. It sucks that it's taking some time, but we know that the next 12 months, for example, Q4, they're gonna have the fiscal year 25 guidance coming out for essentially get the next 12 months after this February. And if it's flatlined, the stock will essentially be flatlined unless some big news comes out throughout the year, or in terms of design wins, contracts, so on and so forth. But essentially, it's gonna be 12 months of like stagnant growth. And then after the 12 months, we'll have hopefully cybersecurity becoming cash flow positive, and the IoT side of the business is cash flow positive as well. So the company overall will be cash flow positive. Over revenue growth comes in with, again, Ford seems like they're explaining BlackBerry Ivy. And if that's the case, because Ford and BlackBerry has worked together before in the past, we've seen other OEMs work with it. For example, Amazon, which is awesome. The reason why I mention that is Amazon owns 50% of BlackBerry Ivy system. So we have a lot of collaboration. We have a lot of potential and major growth mentioned from a bunch of OEMs for this type of sector. And the only competition for BlackBerry Ivy that BlackBerry mentioned was the OEMs themselves trying to develop this. But more and more, we're seeing that the OEMs are starting to think, okay, it's not worth it. BlackBerry stated that the OEMs are saying that they should just basically use BlackBerry Ivy and develop the systems around BlackBerry Ivy, and that's more beneficial for their time invested. So with that growth and like that trajectory of moving, hopefully that works out, bringing more revenue overall and major revenue overall, and then the company hopefully should climb. But my valuation for the company in terms of conservative, long-term, my valuation is actually extremely high. But just for the short term, I'm thinking, to be honest, BlackBerry should be somewhere between $3 to $4 billion, which would double the share price. And I think that should easily be happening in the next 2 years. So doubling share price / doubling your money in the next 2 years-ish is actually a good return. But that's just my opinion. Like always, you probably should invest only what you could afford, because you never know, nothing's guaranteed. Don't invest that much in terms of you can't afford. So it goes to my plan. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm just buying small portions, right? And on days it dips. So when it dips significantly, I'm buying small chunks. So that way overall I average my purchasing amount, average my purchasing target price, and that way when it keeps dropping, it's not a big deal. Just keep averaging, and it's small positions. It's nothing crazy. So that way, when it does go up, it'll be fine. Because I do believe in the company. I believe in the company. I think BlackBerry Ivy is going to bring in quite a big, good enough revenue. The only problem is it's going to take some time. And the good thing about BlackBerry Ivy, it's not just for EV vehicles. BlackBerry Ivy works on any vehicle that's considered like a smart vehicle, right? It could be a combustion engine, EV, hybrid, so on and so forth. So the main thing is just adaptation. Once adaptation happens, the OEMs will see growth in terms of revenue, because they've shown billions of dollars of growth potential for that kind of system. And then BlackBerry will also get it on the back end as well. But yeah, hopefully you guys liked the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, ask them down below. I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.